dominion. What I mean by dominion is because I know I'm pronouncing it right, but they're moving in different realms and levels and so on and so forth. So then he tells us that, but then 6 months later he comes to Mary. And he tells Mary, he says, let's go up to Luke 1:26. Now let's go up, we're going to go up to 24 because if I go to 26, it just sounds like I'm saying, well now you know, and you don't know. So we'll go up to 20, we'll go up to 24, then we'll come down. Now after those days, his wife Elizabeth conceived, and she hid herself 5 months, saying, thus, I'm in Luke 1:24. Now after those days, his wife Elizabeth conceived. Now she had got pregnant, and she had hid herself 5 months, saying, thus the Lord has dealt with me in the days when he looked on me to take away my reproach. Meaning that, yeah, I was once sterile, once I was barren, but now I'm so fruitful. See, in those days, the first son that comes out of the womb blesses the womb. Yeah. Blesses. It's like blessings step out of your womb. You'll get that later. All right. Blessings come out of your garden. Blessings come out of you to the point that you'll get that later. Because I don't have a lot of time, so I don't want to just... But you'll get that. I promise you'll get that. But if you're driving, please pull over. 26, it says, now, in the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to the city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin, betrothed or engaged to a man whose name was Joseph, of the house of David. Now, you notice that when you look in the Bible, they always go Mary of Magdalene, or Mary of this, or Mary this, or you look at Lazarus, and then you don't know. It's like, for a long time I thought Lazarus, that the king was talking about dip his finger in the Lazarus that came out of the cave. I thought they were the same people. But what happened is, they're not the same people. What happened is, they didn't have last names. You see, when slavery came, we got the last name of the master. That's why you have a lot of people from Islam, they changed their last name. You go into London, you notice that Prince Diana or Prince this, they don't have a last name. They only talk about the Prince of Wales. They don't have last names. So that's a lot of things that get people confused when they start doing this person begot this person, this person begot this person. Then you look in the New Testament and they talk about a Joseph, and then you look in the Old Testament and they talk about a Joseph. You wonder if they're the same people, and they're not. It's just a simple fact. A lot of people have the same names. That's like if you go overseas, you'll see a lot of Marys, Jose's, Juans, and so on and so forth. And you come here, you see a lot of Leroys. Where am I? Okay. 27. It says, to a virgin engaged to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. The virgin name was Mary. Okay? And having come in, the angel said to her, rejoice, highly favored of the Lord, highly favored one. The Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women. But when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and considered what manner of greeting is this. Can you imagine you're a virgin and somebody telling you you're pregnant? So she's like, wait a minute, how's this possible? I haven't been with anybody. You trying to tell me I'm pregnant? I haven't even been fooling around. You telling me I'm pregnant? I haven't did this and you trying to tell me I'm pregnant. What am I going to tell my fiance? What am I going to tell my mama? What am I going to tell my daddy? What am I going to tell these people if I'm pregnant? What am I going to tell them? So this is, she's pondering her head. She's like, okay, all right, okay, if you say so. So then, 28, it says, we'll go back to 27. And the virgin betrothed would have been engaged to the husband and named Joseph of the house of David and the name of Mary. And the angel came and said, rejoice, you highly favored. And then it goes, but we read that about 29. But when she saw him, she was troubled about the same. Okay, now 30. It said, then the angel said to her, do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. Can you imagine finding favor with God? Can you imagine going through a lot of stuff and just find out that you got favor with God? Can you imagine that the hell that you find yourself going through, the stress that you go through, the anxiety that you go through, and then all of a sudden you hear a soft voice say, you have favor with God. But the thing is that we weren't taught that we have favor with God, and we do. We weren't taught how to receive God's favor, so then we neglect God's favor when God's favor comes our way. And then we ask God, why? And then you hear no voice. And then you go, why? And you hear no voice. And then you go, why? And you say, see? You thought I was ignoring you. That's what you do to me. Wow. You'll get that later. All right. 30. And the angel said to her, do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. And behold, you will conceive in your womb and bring forth a son. And he shall call his name, and shall call his name Jesus. See, normally there should be something in the middle of that, but okay, I'll say that for later. So you should name him Jesus, and he will be great, and he will be called the Son of the Highest, and the Lord will give him the throne of his father David. And he will reign over the house of Jacob, meaning the house of Israel, meaning over Israel, forever. And of his kingdom there will be no end. You notice that if anybody does anything to Israel, there's a repercussion to it. There's always a repercussion to what happened if you touch Israel. But people don't think about the spiritual as well as the natural. Many people only preach about natural things. They don't preach about the spiritual things. It's impossible to be a preacher without speaking about the spiritual aspects of Jesus. The spiritual aspect of how God moves. But yet we walk expecting them to go, I don't feel anything. Or I need to see something. And so we find ourselves spiritually crippled, blind, deaf, mute, and dumb, and wondering what was going on. Then Mary said to the angel, how can this be, since I do not know a man? And the angel answered and said, here, the Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the highest will overshadow you. Therefore, also the Holy One who is to be born will be called the Son of God. And indeed, Elizabeth, your relative, has also conceived a son in her old age, and this is how. She's in her 6th month, and it pretty much says she's in her 6th month, and she was barren, but now she's not. For with God, nothing. Then he said, but with God, nothing's impossible. With God, no thing. If you break that down, no thing is impossible, or no thing will be impossible. In the Amplified version, it says, for with God, nothing is ever impossible, and no words from God will be without power or impossibilities of fulfillment. What are you saying, preacher? What I'm saying is this. Gabriel came, told Mary what God said. He said the Holy Spirit will come upon you, meaning that God's breath will come upon you. It was the Holy Spirit that God said he began to speak, and his Spirit began to cause things to manifest in the natural. His Spirit that caused the stars that used to play music in the atmosphere. It was his Spirit that caused the plants and animals and things to be shaped. And he said, let us make them out of our own. Then he said, let us make man in our own image. And then he said he pulled them out of then he started describing how he made man. And he began to talk about his Spirit. It didn't say anything about God had intimacy with the earth to cause man to come forward. He said he had his Spirit come forward. And his Spirit caused these things to manifest. Can you imagine? With me 1 minute. Being a virgin, and God telling you that the fate of the world is